40, and 20. So, ang sa diay is 20. 20, 20, 40, 20. 20 gyapon din siya dire. Nya ang ihang baba. Pila man na? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 20. So, 30, 70, 30, yeah. And again, wait for 30 years for it to compile. Grabe, kahinay dyan. Grabe. Yan ha. Makabalik pa baka kaani sa sharp develop. Arang-arang pa man to si sharp develop. Ma-manage pa man. Okay. And murag wa lagi ni may tsura ato ang happy face. Not so happy. Check down na to. Sakto ba tong coordinates? If this is 0, 0, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 7. Kunya, 1, 2. So 0, 7, 70. Kunya, sayap di ay 20. 20. 1, 2, 20. Tora. 10, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sayot. 5 para din. And then 1, 2. Okay, so muna gamit guys kung naamoy ka na ni drawing. Okay, pwede na niyo i-drawing ninyo sa inyong graphing paper so that it will be easy for you to locate the coordinates. Okay, so sakto na siguro ni maporma ninyo siyang tao. Huwag kadugay dyan. Okay, so here is now our character. Okay, so if let's say for example, what if ganahan ko ibalhin ni siya? Okay, I say I'll put it here at the center. Okay, so imagine if you want to draw that at the center, mag-recompute na pud ka sa imong x ug y dire. Okay, however, with that help of the transform. Okay, so ato lang i-modify kung asa na to siya ibalhin. Okay, so let's say for instance, 400 by 400. So, mo na siya to ang bagong location to where you will be drawing your image. Okay? So, gibalhin na to 40 by 40. So, stop and run that again. Okay. O 400 by 400. Tura. Okay? So, there is your character na gidrawing mo guys. Okay? So, we didn't modify the way we draw the character. We simply modify this function na translate transform. Okay? So, you don't need to redraw and redo okay, the coordinates kung giunsa ninyo siya pag-drawing. Okay, so specifically katong sa x ug y. So what we did is we modify the world coordinate when we started drawing this. Okay, so ang idea lang anang ingon kag translate transform guys is imagine nimo nga let's say if you are drawing on a piece of paper such as this one, okay, and you want to move this drawing padung diri sa ubos, okay, what you're actually doing with translate transform is you are moving, okay, the coordinate system or basically ang imong drawing, ang imong entire drawing canvas, okay, imong gimodify. So kung asa tong coordinate system mo gi-follow ani illustration nimo when you first draw it, nisunod ra siya. Okay? So imong gi-modify mismo ang kung sa AutoCAD pa, di ba? Ga-modify mo sa UCS. Okay? Nakagamit ba mo nga feature guys sa AutoCAD? O murag wala siguro no? Okay? So anyway, mo na say idea diri guys when you use translate transform. Okay? So aside from translate transform, okay, there are also other properties under sa graphics class nga pwede nimong ma-modify. Okay? So such as kaniya to ang page unit o page scale. Okay? So by default ang gigamit nato nga page unit is pixel. Okay? So you can actually modify that para mo gamit og inch. Okay? So let's demonstrate that. Okay, so let's say for example dire. So gr dot page unit. Okay, so it's equal to so graphics unit. So there's actually a lot of examples here or basically other unit of measurement aside sa inch. So di nato gamitan siguro og inch kay perting layuan na aning coordinate nato ang mubuhat. I'll just use millimeter para dili kay layo and I'll try to modify this also. 20 by 20. Okay. So stop the drawing and redraw it. Oh, sorry. Oy. So as you can see now guys, okay, compared sa illustration nga ko ang gi-perform ganina, okay, I was using the unit measurement nga pixel. So ang makita po ninyo dito is based po sa size nga pixel. Okay, so atong 70 by 70 perting gamaya ana nga pixel now. What I did here is gi-modify na ko ang page unit into millimeter. Okay? So this is how big my characters are now. So automatic GDI plus will do the computation, converting that pixel unit into a millimeter. Okay, so let's say for instance, if I make use of my PowerPoint here, okay, so i-change nimo ang imuhang formatting and ang default ani niya unsa ganito yung default ani nga measurement Excel man gihapon day ni hindi man din na nato ma-modify anyway wa tong ruler tool but gamit unta to bitaw no wait hindi sa magsilbi si paint para na lang tay comparisons about the size. Okay, so automatic si .NET framework would do the recomputation converting that pixel size nga to ang gigamit earlier into millimeter. Okay, so basically ang ato ang screen naa naman jud na siya size 2 unsa kadak-ang usa ka pixel. And okay, so anyway, mo na siya. Murag di jud siya mo cooperate na ako. Okay? So, aside sa page unit, okay? So, napud tay page scaling. Okay? So, when you hear the word scale, unsa may musod sa tong na guys. Kung maghisgot ta og scale. Okay? So, let's say for example, page unit by default is in pixel man if I don't change that. Okay? So, what if ang akong usbon is ang scaling? Okay? Scaling. Hoy. Page scale. Okay? So, makita nato diri based sa yung definition. Gets and set the scaling between the world units and the page units for this graphic. Okay? So, ang value nato dira is a float. So, let's say for example, I'll use 2.0. Okay. So, you'll be expecting na ang iyahang size would be doubled. Okay. Sit down. Hindi naman po. Hindi mo mukha na. So, sige na lang. Okay. So, aside from the translate, transform, na siya laing transformation which is also very helpful. Kaning gitawag na to nga rotate transform. Okay. So, as what we can see here, ang rotate transform na to. Okay. Let's say for example, ang ato ang fed diri is the angle of rotation in terms of degrees. Okay. So, para medyo lingaw tanawon siguro, let's try to use another vertical scroll bar for that. Okay. So, let's try to change its maximum value. So, let's say 360. Okay. So, let's try to change the name. BSB rotate. Okay. So if I modify this, I'll have my angle change. Okay. So, hala. Okay. Kumusta ang Visual Studio dira sa inyo ha guys? Manageable ra ba ang kalag, especially kaning version 2022?
Same conversion sir, lag sa kay kuha.
Di
Lag
mada
kita sir.
masulo. Ah, Philips. So, kana angle and where is the paint? So, ito asad ning labayan sa angle. Okay. Okay, so here is our object. Okay, so as you can see, if I try to move my tawag na my vertical scroll bar, ang ako apong um, illustration dira, okay, moves also along, okay, together with it. Okay, nya ang iyahang tawag na ang iyahang center point is kung asa tong origin sa imuhang world coordinate. So basically, um, we modified the world coordinate at this point. Okay, so 0, 0. When we perform the rotation, okay, so makita na to, okay, it pivots on this side also. Okay, so let's say for instance, ganahan ka nga imuhang rotation would be here at the center. Okay, so how will we do that kung ganahan ta sa center jud siya mismo? Okay, ang iyang point of rotation. So you try to modify, okay, your world coordinate. Okay, so let's say for example, so 30, negative 35, negative 35. So, set sa kanya.
Sir, pag ni sa advice sa
Diri data,
kung ano,
negative 35.
sige sir.
So negative 35, so this becomes negative 15 na lang. Kami negative 10, 3, 5. Kami negative 15. And the rectangle, negative 15. And this one is, sa ito siya, 15. Hmm. So let's modify. So here guys, okay. Og nag-noun sa maning nouns ato ang nasubraan. So dapat 5 para dahil tani. Next. Hmm. So as you can see here, ato ang giusab ang ato ang drawing. Okay, gi-draw na ko. Okay, such that ang ako ang original nga coordinate would now be here on the center. Okay, and then I use the translate transform to modify, okay, where my drawing would be located, okay, on my picture box. Okay, so when I do the rotation, as you can see guys, ang iyahang point of um, center point of rotation dili na on the upper left corner but rather diri na sa center mismo kung asa ko ga-drawing sa ko ang ellipse. Okay? So kana guys, so mura na siya ligid nga motoyo, dili siya mo revolve on a certain axis. Okay, so ang axis niya na ni diri sa center, wala na sa upper right corner. Okay, so kana lang minimum modification. Okay, sa imong code. Okay, so that's how your page unit, uh, translate transform, and rotate transform are utilized. Okay, so mo na to itong demonstrate kanina. Okay. So aside from this one, okay, napud tay gitawag nga graphic state. Okay, sa ato ang graphics object. Okay, basically what this graphic state does, okay, is pwede nimo ma-maintain, okay, and actually makasave sad ka sa imong mga previous states. Okay, now let's go over the different categories one by one. So like quality setting, ang transformation ato atong gihisgotan kanina, ang translate o ang rotate. Okay, nga pwede din yung ma-modify, and of course napod tayo mga clicking regions. So going ahead, this is the quality setting of your graphics object na atay gitawag na smoothing mode. Okay, so unsa may gamitan ng smoothing mode? Let's look at this example. Maklaro ba ninyo guys? Okay, can you see the difference between the two? So this first ellipse here is drawn with a smoothing mode using anti-aliasing. Okay? Whereas ang ikaduha is using high speed. And you can check it here guys, nga ani sa high speed mode, okay, solid kaayo ang color pag drawing sa ato ang ellipse. Okay, so you only have one color being utilized there, and that is basically blue. Okay, nya kaning sa ibabaw usa ra man sad naka-color, di ba guys? Blue ra man gyapon, no? Okay, but what difference have you noticed from these two illustration? Okay, unsay murag tan-aw
Solid ang
ninyo?
sa babaw, sir.
Solid sa ibabaw, nya sa ubos
Pixelated kayo kung
Na-edges, sir.
Ubos sir kay garang-garang.
garang-garang. Okay, solid kay nga circle, or basically kanang makaingon tag smooth kaayo ang edges sa circle. Whereas diri sa ubos sa to garang-garang or gering-gering. Okay?
Selected.
So actually parihara na sila guys. Okay? Ang taapan ng kaning sa ibabaw gigamitan siya og kanang smoothing technique called anti-aliasing. Now, let us zoom in on this illustration. Let me zoom in on that part. Asa na ito tara? Green lights. Okay. So let's look closer. Okay. Now, what happened here, okay, is that dito sa high-speed mode, when it renders that ellipse, okay, gigamit ra niya ang mga pixels that are affected, okay, to draw the ellipse using a single color. Pero diri sa Picas, okay, kaingon tag single color kay blue raman, but actually dili na single color. But ang color nga gigamit dira guys is what we call as monochrome. Okay? So what GDI Plus is actually doing here is that um, when it draws the object, kadugay paint. Okay. So it utilize different shades of the color originally used to make it appear visually that the edges that is being drawn is smoother. Okay? So it gives you that illusion nga murag smooth siya tan-awon sa layo. But if you look closely gihapon di ay kung magpaduol ka, giring-giring na siya gihapon ang pagka-drawing. It's just that when you look at it at a certain distance, it may appear to be very smooth because of how the colors were rendered in the first place. And gihapon mo open akong paint. What happened? Ang i-open na hinoon si Edge. Lain ng Microsoft ay mamugos man Edge ipagamit. Ito na-open ang paint. Ay, kapuan. Ganina ra niya, kanina ra. Pati ang control at delete, di mo gana ng hang pag-apil. Hello guys, can you still hear me? Patay na siya. It's hello, mic testing 1 2 3. Okay. Hello. Guys, napa mo?
Yes, sir. Napa, sir.
Okay.
Napa, sir.
Kung sa'yo makita ninyo sa kong screen currently.
Atong naka-zoom
sir.
na on, sir.
Naka-zoom, okay. Ganina, wala ba mapangpang ang i-share na ko sa screen?
Wala naman, sir.
Wala ra. Pwede dira sa inyo. Ako ang taskbar na wag lang na taita. Pati si control alt delete imbis mo'y saligan kung muhang ang application mag not responding pa. Murag batik jud kay nga pag kinsay nagkuan diri, kinsay nag Windows 11 diri niya hard drive ang gigamit. Wala maka solid state drive. Are you also experiencing that same problem nga kusog kayo siya mo lag? Is kinsay mga nagkuan diri Windows 11 niya hard disk ang gigamit. Grabe aray problema sa SSD. Pero kani hard drive, grabe. Or more ang computer jud ni. Okay, so ako lang ta i-illustrate ninyo no how anti-aliasing work. Okay, so murag di mo jud mag-operate si Paint. Let's look for some visual examples there sa internet, okay, about how anti-aliasing fools your eye into seeing kanang smooth edges. Okay, so actually kaning anti-aliasing is like one na siya. It's like a process utilized for image editing, okay, making it appear since ang maghisgot man gud kag bitmap di man jud na siya posible nga mas smooth ang edges nimo compared to that of a vector, okay, because of the limitation of the size of the pixel. So what they did to make it appear murag smooth ang surface is nagamit sila additional tone sa color, okay, based on the original nga gigamit, and they modify that. Okay, dara. So here's a good example. Okay. So this is how anti-aliasing actually looks like, guys. Okay. So evident kay ni siya, especially kaning mga slant lines o mga curved lines. So makita nato diri two examples. The other one is alias and the other one is using anti-aliasing. Okay, so katong nakita niyo ganina nga ang edges niya is giring-giring. Okay, so alias to siya. Okay, wala to gamiti og anti-aliasing. This is what anti-aliasing looks like. Okay, so makabantay mo ang edges niya imbis nga using a single color of black, it actually make use of different tones of black. Okay, so na darker shade, lighter shade, giving you the illusion nga mura siya smooth, just like as what we are seeing here right now on this example. Okay, so it fools your eye into seeing nga murag smooth ang iyang edges, but in reality jagged gyapon na siya. Okay, so mura lang siya smooth tan-aw kay tungod aning different tone, okay, on the edges of your illustration. Okay, so it appears na mura hinoon siya og smooth ang iyang edges, but actually jagged gyapon na siya. Gagamit lag line color variation to make it appear at a distance nga mura siya smooth. Okay, so mo na siya ang gigamit nga anti-alias, guys. Okay, so it makes it look better. Okay, ang imong illustration. Okay. compared atong murag pixelated nga giring-giring. Okay? So, again, there are other transformations that you could also modify aside from the smoothing mode. Napod tayo text rendering, compositing quality, and interpolation mode. Okay? So, it would be better if you try this out for yourself and experiment kung unsay pwede or mas ganahan yung value for it. Okay, so that is again for the quality setting. For the transformation, we have already demonstrated ganina unsay gamit anang rotating, okay, translating. So aside from those two, naapay scaling, reflecting, ug skewing na pwede nimong magamit. Okay? So again, very useful. Okay? Let's say katong ato ang rotating. Kay what if, let's say for instance, you are to draw an ellipse that looks like this. Okay? So take note, when you draw an ellipse, this would be impossible without the help of the rotate transform feature. Okay? Kaya nga nung impossible man na siya, sir. Take note, when your ellipse is drawn, and you open na dyan finally, when your ellipse is drawn, it is bounded by a box. So when you create an ellipse, ing ani ra jud na siya og itsura. Okay, kaya ang i-define mo is ang upper left corner with the width and the height. And that is always how your ellipse would look like. Okay? However, with the help of the so-called rotate transform, you'll be able to actually modify, okay, how your ellipse would look like. And unfortunately, wa man sad ko'y option na diri nga mo rotate by pila ka degrees. Okay? So by konra ang rotation day na ko diri by 90. Okay? So anyway, okay, so that helps you create more complicated shapes kaning si rotate transform. Okay. So again, pwede na ninyo ma-combine. Okay? So kaning reset transform, essentially ang gibuhat ani niya is iyahang i-set back to the original value or default value ang imuhang workspace. Okay, so take note guys, when you say rotate transform or katong translate transform, what you are actually doing there guys is like mura bag ang imuhang papel mismo may imuhang skew, okay, para i-drawing nimo, okay, ma-drawing nimo siya at this angle. Okay, so in ani ba, how do you lisod ta i-demonstrate? Mura bag mura bag let's say something like this. Okay, if this is your piece of paper, okay, and you tend to draw something on it, okay, like let's say asa naman to. So let's say for example, i-drawing nimo sa ellipse, di ba? Ing ana ra man jud ang pwede nimong drawing, okay? Ing ana ra jud ang orientation because that's basically how it is easier for the computer to do the computation, okay? So when you do the rotate transform, okay, what actually happens there is that murag ang papel mismo mo imuhang gipatuyok like this, okay? Then you draw your ellipse the same way as how you always draw the ellipse originally. Okay? But since ang pinaka-canvas to where you were drawing, imuha mang gituyok, so basically, when that is shown on the screen, okay, mabalik man na siya sa normal orientation. Okay? So something like this. So ang imong drawing nga gibuhat sa canvas looks like this na. Okay? as an effect of you transforming the rotation of your canvas. Okay? Di ba? Pare-parehara sa na ninyo. Kana bang magsuwat mo? Okay? Probably, ang uban dili kung magsuwat, di ba? Ang papel nila, murag nag 90 degrees na ang slant. Okay? So, ang papel mismo or ang drawing canvas mo ay ituyok. Okay? Instead nga, ikaw nga ga-drawing, may mutuyok sa imong drawing canvas. So, you adjust the drawing canvas instead of you positioning yourself nga mo draw sa imuhang graphics in what is convenient to you. Okay? So, more ng idea na guys, kanang reset transform o rotate transform. So, again, when you when you talk about translate transform, imagine mura ra nagi move nimo imuhang paper like this. Okay? So, when your drawing is displayed on the screen, tingana niyang itsura. Okay? So, take note lang for that to effect, you must call out the transformation first before you start drawing. Okay? So, mo na siya guys. Okay? Ang sa transformations. Okay? So here is also one of the so-called interesting features when you are making use of what GDI plus. Okay, kaning clipping. Okay, so unsa maning clipping? Okay, so clipping using regions. So regions again is one of those class nga pwede nimong magamit to define a shape. Okay? So, essentially, if you want to draw something like this, na murag na kay slanting line, but ang slanting line is like being used as a fill for this cross. Okay? So, in Photoshop, di ba, dali ra kay na siya buhaton sa Photoshop na amantay clipping nga feature dira sa Photoshop. Okay? So, you could actually do the same here in GDI Plus with the help of this so-called clipping region. So again, there's an example here nga pwede ninyong makita. Okay? So how was this cross created on the first place? The cross was created not using polygons. Okay? So actually, there is a function here called fill polygons. Okay? So you are aware guys, di ba, what a polygon is. Okay? Di ba, you're familiar with what a polygon is? Okay? So a polygon basically is composed of not just three edges or three corners, but it could be created using more. Okay, so one of the most common polygon na itong hibawan is the square and the rectangle, having 4 sides and 4 corners. Okay, so kung nanay 5 sides and 5 corners, what do we call that polygon? We call it as a pentagon. Okay, so you can create your own polygon using this function. Okay, but imagine how difficult it was for us to create that happy face kay nagsigit og tan-aw sa grid as to nyara pila ni kabuk coordinates, di ba? If you are to create this polygon, pila ka points ang imong i-define? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Okay? So 12 kabuk points ang imong i-define. Okay? Whereas when you create a cross, you could actually create a cross by just simply making use of rectangles. Okay? So in this example, as what we can see, okay, we have created a region here using the basic shape of a rectangle. Okay, so kung magtanaw lang ta ani nga coordinates nga gibuhat dire, okay, so typically nag-drawing siya og rectangle nga paing-ani, di ba? Kay 50 by 150. So that means pataas siya. And then with the function sa kana nga object region nga yun, you were able to add another rectangle. Okay, this time around, mas taas siya. Okay, then something like this. Okay, so those two shapes sa rectangle were combined into a single shape for it to appear like this, nga murag usara. Okay? So, ang gigamit na to usually when using fill region, dire is ang typical nga gusto to siya? Upper left corner of the width and the height. Okay, so you could actually also pass a region to the function fill region para mo iyahang sudlan of color using the brush class. Okay, so apart from that, okay, so nagamit ta sa function nga set clip, okay, and gi-combine nato whatever newly created drawings, like for example kaning si draw line, okay, with the region that we have just specified. Okay, so this creates, okay, this effect nga combination of two illustration. Okay, so which is the illustration for drawing lines like this and the region that forms your cross. Okay, so there's actually other combination mode nga pwede nimong magamit. Okay, so just check that out dira sa inyong Visual Studio, okay, using your controls spacebar para makapangita mo og um, other options for this one. Okay, so that, guys, is how clipping region works. Okay, so aside from that, okay, so you could actually also use the region uh, as a reference, especially kanang mag-create ka og, how do you call this, how do you say this, mag-create ka og event that would be able to detect nga, let's say, your mouse go over that shape. Okay, kay most of the time ang shape nato is either naka-circle or naka-rectangle, but what if irregular ang iyang itsura. Okay, so na siya property sa region that enables you to detect, okay, kanang mga on mouse move. Okay, so sa kamay. Okay, so again, these are just some of those functions nga pwede nimong magamit, okay, for your graphics object. Okay, so kaning save, it basically save the state sa imong graphics object. Then what informations are being saved, like for example kana imuhang mga reset transform, okay, kanang mga scale transform, rotate transform, translates transform, okay, smoothing node. Okay, so pwede na nimo ma-save. So take note, this method will be able to provide you unsa ganito siya nga object. Okay, a graphic state object. Okay, so that graphic state object pwede na nimo ipasa og reference, okay, for later use. So let's say for example kana, it doesn't require you parameter. Okay, so all you need to do is for you to be able to make use of that state. Okay, just assign it, okay, to a graphic reference. Okay, nya unsa may gamiton para mabalik siya gamit. So you just simply make use of the restore function of the graphics object. So pasahan na nimo graphic state, which is in this case GGS. So kana. Okay, so anyway, moving forward. Okay, so here are again, there are examples here na pwede ninyong magamit guys as a reference when you are using the save and restore, okay, function of your graphics object. Okay, so kamo na lay ako ang bahala ipa-explore ani. Okay, murag makuwangan ato ang time, especially with this Visual Studio na to nga dili kay cooperative. Okay, so anyway, aside from that, okay, probably one of the thing that you also need to learn about graphics programming in C Sharp is that aside sa makadrawing kag shape on an existing image, okay, pwede ra pod na nimo i-modify guys, okay, pixel by pixel, okay, ang imuhang image. So let's say unsa ganito gigamit nato diri, mag-open og picture. Sige. So one lang, some basics of computer graphics. Okay, so kinsay hilig kay diri og kuan, kinsay hilig kay diri og kanang black and white nga effect. Okay, are you fond of converting your images to black and white? Okay, or are you fond of using your pictures as a reference for creating t-shirt design or kanang mga gitawag nato nga silhouette? Okay, kinsa may nakasuway na diri og kuan design of t-shirt nya ilahang naong may gigamit. Aba, kung kuan ingit ako picture nga pwede na itong gamiton.
Very good.
Ah, kinsa may mga sikat nga mga noun. Ako makakita ka siyang silhouette, maka-identify ka kung kinsa na. Sige, kani. Okay.
Okay.
Kani kay murag sikat jud kay ni siya. Okay. Tanang tawa ni nakaila siguro no. So,
So for now,
pati as its quality picture.
what is the important?
Okay.
Manufacturing.
So let me save this image first. Okay. Pictures.
Simple here. So let's focus on the manufacturing. So we've got the group presented. So actually we've done, and we must remember if we talk about women,
Okay.
and
Okay, so let's say for example, kani nga image, di ba? Kinsay wa kailani in town. Okay? Usa sa inyong mga idol siguro during your time. Okay? So let's say I want to modify the color of this image. Like let's say for example, I want it converted into black and white. Okay? Can I do that here in C Sharp? Okay, so of course. Okay, so di ba makabuhat ba mo na sa paint guys? Convert into black and white? Or rather, can you do that in Word or in PowerPoint? Nausgo ninyo ang color sa picture? Okay? Di ba? Pwede kayo no? Na ay option na sa Microsoft Word. So if you can do that in Microsoft Word, then there's no way that you cannot do it here in C Sharp. Okay? So, unsaon man na siya. Okay. Ato alang sa ni comment out. So, we are now done with graphics programming, or rather, we are now done with GDI na programming. Okay, so what I will be teaching you right now is basic image manipulation done in C Sharp. Okay, so image processing na ni siya karon. Um, what do we do? I'll just simply add lang siguro. Okay. I'll simply add another option here. Let's say we call that processing as grayscaling. Okay. Uh, hala ka. Okay, so anyway, while we are waiting for this to start, nakahilak mo dyan ko, Ali. Nag-release na hinuon eh.
Add more to your presentation. It will aid more to your visualization.
So let's change the name. Saan naman ito sa name? Nag-raise na hinuon. Name. Hala. So uninstall na dyan ito. Halos dito ko kalihok dyan. So anyway, one basic concept guys of how to convert colors into its equivalent grayscale, okay, is kaning gitawag na ito nga averaging. Okay, so let's say for instance you have this. Okay, so let's say na ako'y red, o let's say ang value sa red is 200. And I also have a value of blue, which is 200. Okay. So with averaging, how much would you get here? Okay. So 200 plus 200, that is 400. So divide na itong tulo. which is green, so that would be around pila, 130 something. Okay, so to convert that into a grayscale, what is needed is that you should put that value, okay, nga pariha sa tanang color channel. Okay? So ang purple na equivalent nga gray color is this one. And we do know that when you talk about grayscale, tanawa ni Dirha, as I move my slider down, okay, ang value niya pariha ra gyapon. Okay? Pero as the value decreases, the shade of the color becomes more darker. And obviously, when the value of each channel goes higher, the color produced becomes more lighter. Okay? So, more na ang idea guys sa grayscaling. So, all those colors ay mukhang nakuha for red, green, and blue to convert that into its equivalent grayscale. You simply get the average of the red, green, and blue color channels, okay? And the average would be fed back to it nga pariha for all the channel, and that's how you get the grayscale. Okay? So with grayscale mong good, okay, it's only shades of black and white. Okay? So for you to be able to get those color, dapat tanang channel must have the same color. Otherwise, kung one of the channel deviates from the common value, let's say for example, kanina 250, okay, mawagtang ang iyahang grayscale na color. Kay na may nanubra nga color dire which is si green. Okay? So, mo na siya guys ang idea sa grayscaling. So, expected yun na siya when you say grayscale. Tanang color channel will have the same value. Okay? Okay, so, this is the color being reproduced. So having that in mind, okay, we will use that concept of converting that image into grayscale by modifying, okay, the colors of each pixel. Okay, so let's just open a simple toolbox para maka-add lang taog button. Okay. So when we click this button, obviously kung sa to yung gisun nga image sa picture box, may ato ang editon. So we'll just create here a simple bitmap object. Okay. So gikan sa picture box na image na to ang mukuha. Okay. So probably we'll get the clone. Okay? Parang original image, dili mausap. Okay? So ang clone, okay? So we need to cast. I-cast lang nato siya as bitmap object. Okay? So once you already have a bitmap object guys, okay, you can actually access the pixel. Okay? So as you can see here, na siya option na get pixel. Okay? So what does this get pixel return to you? So it will return to you a color object. Okay? So let's create a color object here. Let's call it as color object C. Okay? So when you call out get pixel, you need to identify, okay, asa nga coordinate niya kwaon ang imuhang pixel. So naa siya x and y component. Okay? So basically with an image, okay, if you have this so-called image, pila ka pixel ang naa sa usa ka image. Okay? So dapat makabaw ka kung pilay width o pilay height sa imong image. Kay nga naman, tagsa-tagsaon man na natong bisita taga pixel and modify the color of each pixel. Okay? So, what control structure will we use for that, guys, para mabisita nato tanang pixel sa picture? Okay? Kay imagine, okay, kung mag-usab-usab ang size sa mong picture, dapat na atay pamaagi nga ma-identify nato as to pila ka pixels ang width o pila ka pixels ang height. Okay? So, good thing, okay, when you're talking about bitmap objects, it could actually also return to you, okay, that property nga height. The same is true with your width. Okay? So, pwede na nimo magamit ang kanang iyahang property sa bitmap object para ma-identify nimo pilay size sa image nga imong i-edit. Okay? So, after that, kung say sunod, guys, okay, what do we need to do next? Okay, so we would need additional variables na ato ang gamiton for that function nga get pixel. So for this, we'll need this variable x and y para mo ay gamiton nato diri kang get pixel. Okay? So kung asa nga pixel ang atoang kuhaan og color. Okay? And of course, para mabisita nato tanang pixel ng image, kailangan ta mo gamit og for loop. Okay? So let's say you start with x. Okay? So start with the value of 0 nga position. Okay? So while your x is less than the width, okay, so x plus plus. Okay. So that's it. Okay. So of course, kanin siya, usara ni siya ka row. So take note, na pa may height. Okay. So we use another for loop. Okay. To traverse sa ato ang y. Okay? So, kung sa may nindot o pag-edit diri, guys, if you are to edit an image, okay, would it be better if you process your image one column at a time? Okay, like that. Or mas maayo siguro, no? Kung one row at a time. Okay, so how are we to process our image? Okay, so mora man na siya. We need to traverse through all of our elements. Okay, so if we use this, let's say for y is equal to 0, then y is less than the height. Let's say y plus plus. Okay. This will enable us to scan and modify your image by column. Okay? So, unahon sa niya ang usa ka column before it proceed to the next column of x. Then, padung na po ubos. Or pwede po, tinganion na to. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay. So, pwede po din ganion na to. Okay. Nga unahon na to ang usa ka row before we proceed to the next row. Okay, as specified by y. Okay. So, again, for this one, okay, what we need to do first is get the color for each pixel. Okay. Once you get the color of each pixel, ato ang i-break out into RGB nga value.
So on Wednesday, we will continue on work measurement.
Okay?
Please do the necessary preparation.
So, bright kay si intelligence ta. Ma-sense man niya unsay sunod buhaton.
For your time study.
Okay?
That is going to happen.
So, we simply
Discussion on this.
Okay.
So that's all from this
get
Thank you for your
the
time.
color object
But
and access individual RGB. So, kana. So, once makuha na nato, okay, ang tanang color channels, all we need to do is simply get the average, okay, so that we can create the gray color. Okay, so that is as simple as adding up the values of RJ and B. So divide nato by, and of course, we need to make sure that mauna ang pag-sum up before we divide that value by 3. Okay? So, kana ra guys. So, what's next? Okay? What do we need to do next? Okay. So, we use the set color. Okay. So, we have the PP that set pixel. Okay. So, unsa may ato ang color ibutang. Okay. So, of course, identify nimo asa nga location ibutang, identifying the X and Y, and dere create a new color object which is based on the value of okay, pwede ra ta diretso siguro color that from ARJP. So, ang tulo ka color channel. Okay, so we'll just use that constructor that requires 3 parameters, specifically red, green, and blue. Okay, so kana. Huwag kung sa maning nag-error dyan. And asa mo dito? Okay. Grabe. Okay. So, ma-adjust na yung number 1 na problema. Okay. Then, of course, after nato ma-edit ang picture using this routine, okay, make sure para makita nato ang result, ato ang i-display ang imuhang bitmap object. Okay. So, asa nato i-display, butang nato sa ato ang image. So, that is your bitmap. So, mo na siya guys. Okay. So, let's run. So, wala lang sa nakabatang yung exception handling. Okay. So, kamo na bahala niya butang na exception handling. And, grabe, asa naman to. Katulad ng compile. So, okay, so again, open na to si Money and button number 5. There it is, guys. Okay, so Manny Pacquiao now is in grayscale. Okay, so nga nauna na siya pag convert ang any colored image to grayscale. Okay? Yeah, probably naimutan na, sir, unsaon pag-convert from grayscale balik to colors? No? So, that's probably something which is difficult. Kay, let's say, kung makakita magud kag ing ani nga color in grayscale, lisod na siya i-convert balik to that RGB nga color scale. Kay nga naman, wa takabaw kung unsa ni siya nga shade. Is it a shade gikan sa blue, yellow, or green? Okay? So mo nang murag, if you want to convert grayscale color back to the colored version, okay, mas lisod-lisod jud na siya. Okay? So I haven't even seen an option in Photoshop that performs such a function. Okay? So usually kung grayscale to colored, that is done manually. Okay? So, mo na siya, guys, ang ako kuan, ang conversion from colored image to kuan, to grayscale. Okay? Now, here's another concept, another option that you might want to use. Okay? Let's say, for example, kaning gitawag nato nga um, black and white. Okay? Have you tried that black and white sad? Okay? So, nindot gamiton siya, may convert ang imuhang grayscale into pure black and white, which you can use later on for creating stencils. Stencils that will be used for shirt printing. Okay? So, giunsa man na siya pagbuhat. Now, we already know that ang value aning gray would be a value between 0 to ila to? 255. Okay? So, pwede ta mo considering, let's say, if the result of this average is, let's say, for example, greater than uh, pila may kuan, pilay gamito na to. Let's call this as a threshold. Okay? So, I'll create another variable lang here. I'll call it as threshold. Set na to, let's say, 50% sa 255. Let's say 127. Okay? So if it is greater than the threshold, then therefore, ang ato ang ibutang na value is 255. Otherwise, ang ato ang ibutang nga value is what? 0. So we do know that 0 is black and 255 is white. Okay, so this will modify the function of our code instead of grayscaling wherein mo vary ang iyang color from 255 to 0 and vice versa. Ang colors nga ma-produce ani karon will not be a scale of 0 to 255 but simply it's either 255 or 0 ra jud. Okay? So again, using that option, boom. Okay? So kung magtan-aw ta, medyo daghang hayag nga part. So ang naong ni Pacquiao wala kay maklaro. So probably we could increase the threshold to, let's say, mga 180 siguro para daghan-daghan pud ang dark nga portion. Okay. So again, file, open. Okay? Ug sobra pod ka ngit-ngit. Okay? Or we could also we could also modify the program para anhin nato anhin nato i-attach sa to ang slider. Okay? Pwede na nato gamiton. So let's say I'll just copy this siguro. So kung mo gamit aning rotation, I'll put it there. And for the threshold, I'll use the vertical scroll bar, rotate.
Kumusta guys?
So kaning value i-set lang nato og 255 maximum.
Ang isa.
So open sa image. There it is. So very
Dahil mo. Anyway, okay naman mga bata.
oops. And yara. Ang gikuha nato ang original man. Okay, mo din ni problema. Since ang ato ang gikuha nga image is gikan man sa picture box. So kung ma-edit ang nasa picture box, moro po na edito niya after. So mo itong puro puti atong makitaan. Okay, so let's try to modify the code a bit para naatay reference sa original image. So I'll do this instead. Um, get Excel. So bitmap. Let's create another bitmap object. Okay. So this will contain your so based on your BP dot size. Okay. Kalit lang. Is there such a constructor na size ang ipasa? Image original and the new size width and height tra. Okay, walay size. So width and height tra. So sige, gamitin na lang na ito. Okay. So for that then, so the image that we will be seeing is si temp. So guys, mo niya itong gibuhat ha. Nag-create ko duha ka bitmap object. Basically, ako ang original, okay, si BP. Niya, nag-create ko temp, which is of the same size as my picture nga gi-upload sa image. Okay, so I will use the original picture as my reference, okay, para sa pagkuha nako sa colors and applying that so-called threshold. Okay, so i-recompute sa grayscale, agto nako ibutang sa temp. Okay, so katong picture box which is of the same size as BP og si temp mo na ako ang i-display sa ellipse. Okay, so if my Pagod lang. Murag kailangan sa juday ni ma-update. Wait sa open. Okay, so I need to create here the i-modify na to kay mausab man di ay ang tibuok image. We need to create a variable that is common to all. Okay. So, create na lang po ana BP nga variable. Okay. So, dire, this will be my BP. Okay, the new bitmap. Code mo na ito ang ibutang sa image picture box for viewing. Okay. So, once na BP object na, okay. So, mo na gamito na ito pag-create sa temp file. Okay, so mo na i-access na to. So at least with this one, ang ato ang kuan o value dili na magikan sa picture box but gikan jud sa original. Okay, so ma-preserve ang original information every time we modify what is being displayed on the picture box. Okay, which is the pick ellipse. Ano pick ellipse man eh. Sige na lang. Okay. So, ako lang ni guys, mga basic image processing. Okay. So, there is your Manny Pacquiao. Okay. So, this is our image na mga na-create. Okay. Using my vertical scroll bar para real time na ko makita ang epekto sa ako ang values nga gigamit. Okay. So asa may mga nindot-nindot gamiton pang t-shirt ani. Kanilang siguro no kay maklaro pang naong ni Pacquiao. So guys, you now have your Manny Pacquiao limited edition t-shirt nga pwede gamiton for your silk screen printing. Okay. So that is how you edit existing images. Okay. So number one problem lang jud niya is that since I am not directly working with the data on your computer's memory, okay, nagkamit man ko aning gitawag nato nga manage class. Okay, there's like a lot of overhead that is added to the code. Okay, every time you get the pixel, there's a lot of things going on around there. So imagine if the size of the picture, the height and the width, mudako gani na siya, maka-experience yun mo der of lag. Okay, so good thing ang image nato is gamay raman og size. Okay, so konra 400 by 400 kay kung abot na siya let's say 1,000 by 2,000, dugay mo respond ang imuhang application because of this so-called loop within the loop na statement. Okay? So anyway, mo lang na siya. Basic lang, image manipulation using the get and set pixel. So there's actually a faster way to do this, but it will involve pointers. Okay, so mahagbong na siya kuan unmanaged na code. Okay, since you will be directly manipulating information coming from the computer's memory. So it will be considered as unsafe code. So delikado mo crash jud ang mga application. Okay, so anyway, that's it for graphics programming with JDI Plus. Okay, so just an additional kwan lang sad. Okay, just an additional information. Okay, when we do graphics programming, okay, especially when you want to edit the entire image, okay, not just pixel by pixel, okay. C# also provides us with such a class that makes it easier to do image manipulation. Okay. So image manipulation on the entire image by using the so-called color matrix class. Okay. So ato lang ikuan. Again, the notes for the GDI plus graphics programming has already been uploaded. Kamo na lang niya bahala og explore ani niya. Okay. So just to give you an overview, okay, about the color matrix class, okay. So the so-called color matrix class sa pagkangang matrix, unsa may nasabtan ninyo anang matrix nga keyword, guys. Okay? Hopefully dili si Keno Reeves may musud sa inyo una when you talk about the matrix. Okay? So in engineering, when you talk about matrix, unsay musud sa una-una? Again, wala. Wala yung musod sa una-una when you hear the word matrix. Okay? So usually when you talk about the matrix, it's just like a two-dimensional value. Okay? So basically here in C sharp, okay, a color matrix is defined as a 5 by 5 matrix that contains coordinates for the RGBA space. So RGBA, red, green, blue, and A is for, unsa tong A? Kamo na'y bahala anak pangita. Unsa na siya. Okay, so with the color matrix class, naatay mga methods nga magamit under sa image attribute class which we could use to adjust the colors using the color matrix class. Okay, and of course, for us to be able to make use of this color matrix class, you need to add this namespace. So system that drawing that imaging. Okay, so by default, okay, kung magtan-aw ta diri sa ato ang um, namespace nga gipanggamit, okay, so wala na siya. Okay, so we need to add that up, okay, para magamit si color matrix class. Okay, so as stated here, okay, what does we use the color matrix class for? Gamit niya na nato for adjusting image colors. Okay? So mas paspas siyang approach if you are trying to modify not specific areas in your image but the entire image itself. Okay? So unsa may naaning color matrix class as stated earlier, na siya 5 kabuk columns of 5 kabuk rows. And what is that rows used for? Okay, so basically the color matrix class is like an equivalent to 5 different arrays. The first deals with the red color, the second one deals with the green color, the third one deals with the blue color, and the fourth one deals with the alpha channel. And the fifth one, we use it as a translation value. Okay, basically we use it to control the intensity of the color. Okay, so later ito na ipakita. Okay, and those array contains, again, take note, red, green, and blue information. Okay, whose values would normally be going from 0 to 1. So basically, for the translation 0 to 1, so kung siya, this is not an integer but a floating point number. Okay, na pwede na itong gamiton. Okay, so okay, so anyway, kamon lay basa ana niya, let's go directly to the example. Okay, so this is how your color matrix is utilized to modify the color of your image. Okay, so as stated kanina, your 5 by 5 matrix, okay, na ay usa array which is responsible for modifying the red color, one for the green color, one for the blue, and one for the alpha. And the last one would be utilized as a translation value. Okay, so when you are trying to edit a single pixel, okay, mao man ni ang composition sa usa ka pixel. When used with this color matrix, the new pixel will be recalculated based on this formula over here. So this is a multiplication of a 1 by 5 matrix by a 5 by 5 matrix. So given that you have a 1 by 5, more importante ang ihang width must have the same width as with your multiplier for it to be possible. And the result would still be a 1 by 5 nga matrix. Okay, so walay mausab basically sa pixel nimo. Ang mausab lang ana niya not ang size but ang values inside it. Okay? So anyway, mo na siya ikon lang simple explanation on how colors are modified using this color matrix value. Okay, so let's see how we do it in your program. Okay, so first and foremost, okay, when applying the color matrix class is we need to initialize an image attribute object. So gamit ka ng image attribute class. Okay, so here is an example. Okay, so we have created a bitmap object, okay, which is a blank one, and then we have created a graphics object out of that blank nga bitmap object. So we have here then created a color matrix object, okay, and we call it as color matrix. So as stated earlier, a color matrix class is like having five element type na array. Okay? So mo ni siya karon. Okay? So mo ni ang array with 5 elements niya. 5 ni sila kabuok. So it's just like having again a multi-dimensional array with a size of 5 by 5. Okay? So kaniday nga example, kani nga mga values, this is taken on the creation of a black and white nga image gyapon reproduction. Okay? Pero this is a more optimized version of the grayscale algorithm that we have followed earlier. Okay? So kani siya mas nindot daw ang clarity ani niya nga black and white image based on this percentage nga 30% may gikuha sa red, 60% may gikuha sa green, and 11% may gikuha sa blue. Okay? So base ani nga arrangement RJB. Okay? So using the attributes, okay, object, ato ang gipasa ang ato ang color matrix, and we set the attribute of the object using the function set color matrix. Okay? So kanang attributes mo na ipasa nato dito sa ato ang draw image. Okay? And mo na siya guys. Okay? Ang paggamit sa draw image. Butang ang original nga bitmap image and the new size that would be used to render the image. Okay? And of course, after making use of the graphics object, gagamit lang taning dispose to manually free up the memory in the heap for using that graphics object. Okay? Then basically, gi-return na to ang value sa new bitmap. So take note, ang new bitmap is basically just a blank bitmap object. Okay? So sige, let's try to use that here. Okay, in our color matrix class. Asa naman to? Okay, so in this example, okay, um, imbis kanina man atong grayscale. So anyway, kanina lang. Okay. So let's use that function. Okay, here. Um, bitmap. New grayscale. So tawag siya og bitmap. So let's just copy na lang. Para di ta madugay. And again, gikan sa PowerPoint. Samo ka. So again, this is our color matrix object with the values at hand. So this is gikan sa asa naman to pag open. Kung sa ito pangalan na to ato ganina sa variable BP. So muna ang original image si BP. So pwede raman eh. BM. And okay. So that's it. So igo na lang ta tawag diri sa ellipse that image. Convert na lang nato into a function o kato ang ipasa si BP. Okay. So let's try this out. Okay, so we create lang tag function to make it reusable. And talag. Okay, pasensya na guys. Nindot yung computer gigamit ron. Paspas kaayo. Paspas kay makabawag tangog pasensya. Okay. So again, as you can see, mo na siya ang effect. Okay. Let's try looking for an image nga mas dako-dako. Okay, para makita nato ang iyahang ang iyahang relevance. Okay. Kinsay na image dira guys nga dako og size. More. Let's look for an image na colorful kaayo para makita nato ang pag-gray niya. Wala.
Sir, natitiglatot ang sampling. Sir, Pipito. Paano siya ka lang? Ni siya sa sampling. Dua ka buka. Ano na sir? Ako naman nag-isip ko.
Ano may dahil?
Ang sir, pang-wait. I-receive nila lang sir. Wala kami na expiration anytime sa kapatid. Char. Ingat sa kubit, ano yung pagkakaroon na naman.
Correct kayo dahil. Pero nang tawa.
Kinsay gyatagan.
Kasi na sila, butang. Kaya naapay mo sa grupo.
Sige. So, kami. Let's try this out. Medyo murag dako-dako ni siya nga image. And, nyara. Thumbnail na siya. So, may mga dagko. A blocker.
Nana si Kawanin dahil? Nana si Mama Kay Resibo?
Yes, sir. Last week lang. Bago siya na, sir.
Sa asa naman po siya?
Ang meeting mo na.
At may mga
Pwede rin yung bukas.
Kami na ko makapit-pit ng Amerikana sa mga kan.
Kahit sir, parang mata na kasal.
So,
it gets plan. Alam siya, it gets plan.
try na to using
It gets plan na rin yung mga
Ikat yung kastorya.
the previous one that we have created.
yan.
So, dagko mag-pixel, low resolution, di ako din ako download. Kita tag high res. Kasi na high res ninyo dira na may high res na photo. May ka-share. Katangan di ano naroon tayo connected sa internet.
Ikaw, inano ako bago yan.
Hindi mo sad basta-basta ma-download. Okay. Napa ba ni mga pictures eh? Wa man siya ang picture diri si Windows 11 eh. Ay, may gulay. Kamang tanan. Ay. Okay, so anyway, asa man ta makakuha og high resolution ani nga ma-direct download. Nay link ninyo dira guys for direct download. Could you provide a link? Kay murag di magsilbig search na ko diri kamang tayo. Okay, so anyway, murag mahurot ato ang oras ani kinuwat loading kayo. So again, mao na siya ang ato ang color matrix na class. Okay, so we use it with the image attribute, okay, so that you can use it together with your graphics object. Okay. So aside from
Tyson. Oh my god. He
Wait.
knocked the fuck out.
Did he
Onto the
actually fall
stream.
asleep?
Yeah,
Tyson, wake up! You're playing on stage in 10 minutes.
No, the thing is that low-key he'll get more viewers sleeping. It's weird on Twitch. Wait, you fell asleep like that?
Tyson,
Not even his head on the back.
Okay, so maybe the 1v1 was.
No, I think he's faking
The right
it. Are we
call.
sure he's sleeping?
No, dude, during his 24-hour stream, he fell asleep like that. No joke. He
Ah.
didn't sleep anywhere.
You want
This
to go
could
check
be
his
so
a-
anyway
pulse real
guys,
quick, maybe?
pa na lang ako lang ni upload ng notes no nya.
What's something that wake him
Follow
up?
na lang sa examples.
but he hears us.
especially kaning
Tyson, you're gonna do it with
pag-modify
Tarek.
Excel,
You're gonna do it with him
color
next week.
matrix.
It's slumped. I've
I
never
know.
seen
Ang
anything
mga
like
I don't think I
it.
could.
values.
Actually, I
Okay,
have
so
fun
just
like
to
on
give you an
plane.
overview
Yeah.
unsay
And you just
sulod
like
sa
you know when you
notes.
like wake up and you like.
Okay, so
snap
there
your
are
head back
different
and then you, like,
values
fall back
here
asleep.
that you could use.
Oh yeah,
okay, for you to
Buddy thinks he's
create
on a plane right now to Iceland.
your own
Wow.
effect
Let me see.
using the color matrix. Okay, and what exactly
Baby, wake
is
up.
needed
Wait, so what
to
do we
be
do? Like,
edited
do we roll him into bed and just
Okay.
keep the stream on? We can't
for
turn it
you
off at
to achieve
70K.
that
Oh my god, he
result.
gained like 10K
So
viewers off
again,
it.
sa katong gibuhat kanina, okay, that's just one of the operations that you can perform and modify in the color matrix object. So here is like an idea of what's gonna happen to your image if you modify the values of your color matrix object. Okay, so this is an identity matrix. Okay, so an identity matrix has these values, okay, for the color matrix class. Naka-1 ra na siya tanan. And what does that mean? Nganong gitawag siyang identity matrix? Gitawag na siyang identity matrix because the moment you apply that matrix to your image, basically what will happen there is ang red nimo nga color would be preserved. That is the same for your green kay maoram ni nag-1. The same is for your blue. Maoram na yung nag-1. Okay, so gimultiply na siya with that value. Okay, your value ni blue times the value of 22 which is 1. The same is true for your alpha channel. Okay, so since puro nag-1 man ni siya, basically pasabot day ato niyang identity matrix, nothing will change. Okay, mo na gitawag siyang identity. Okay, so if let's say for example you want to double the value of red, okay, kay since multiplication man ang involved, pwede ra to ibutang nimo dira. Kani ato ang gi-decrease ang intensity sa green by half, and again ang blue diri ato ang gipasak-an to 3 times its original value. The thing about the color matrix class, guys, let's say for example, if ang original value nimo ni blue is already 100, multiply nimo ana by 3, di ba? That's 300. But automatic i-clip na niya to a value of 255. So kung unsa to yung maximum value niya, as is na to siya. Okay? So of course, 0.5, this is the value for your alpha channel. So that means ang transparency sa imong image will be at around 50%. Okay? So, mo na siya guys. Okay, ang mahitabo. Now, kaning naa sa ubos, okay, mo ni gitawag nato nga pag-perform og addition. Okay? So, let's say for example, muhatag ka og around 20% more of the original value, okay? You use the values below your color matrix object. Okay? So, take note, kani nga values diri, this is for multiplication. The one below is for adding specific values like intensity, like pila ka percent ang imuhang i-add. Okay? Yeah. Color matrix operation, again, we do this here for translating the value. Okay? So just like, let's say for instance, if you want to add 90%, okay, of the red color, so gikan sing ani nga original, more red ang i-add nimo, so your image will look like this. Okay, mas puwa siya tanawon. So take note, ang kaning naa sa ubos, this is for translating. Basically, mura na kag-add og values ana to the original value. Okay. So we use this operation for scaling. Okay. So take note, ang value nimo, it's either 0 or 1. Kay kung mulapas ka ana og 1, it's like you're multiplying the original value. Okay. So scaling, again, that would be from 0 to 100% usually. Okay, but you could also do multiplication by making the value greater than 1. So gi-scale up nimo, dili gi-scale down. Okay? So mo sa niyang hitabo. Okay? When modifying the value. So that means here you're only giving it 80%, diri 50% of the original value. Okay, so again, based on the computation katong sa color matrix. Okay, so there's a lot of more examples here. Kaning rotation day, guys, pasabot ani niya. Ambot lang if you have tried using Photoshop. Okay, there's an option there in Photoshop wherein you are able to modify a color. Okay, kanang changing the hue of a color, and this is exactly what supports that function. Okay, rotating the colors. Okay, so again, there's an example code here that you could use. Okay, so again, take note lang, ang imuhang unit of measurement para sa angle dira, I think it's in radians. So if your value is degrees, 0 to 90, you need to convert that into radians by multiplying it by pi over 9, 180 di. Okay, so again, this is the typical color matrix value nga gigamit nato for grayscaling. Okay, this is what we use for inversion. Okay, so nganong negative, negative, negative man na? It's because, guys, when you say inversion, it's just like performing the complement of the colors. And what is the complement of the colors? You simply subtract it with the biggest value, which is 255. So this will give you like that of your so-called negative effect. Okay, so money ang gibuhat sa inverse. Okay, nakadungog naman siguro man ano kanang negative effect. I think murag sa paint, pwede na siya sa paint. Asa na tong paint? And kamang kayo. Let's not waste time with that anymore. So anyway, here are also some of the features of most common editing tools, okay, like adjusting brightness, adjusting contrast, okay. So kamo na lang niya bahala og apply ani dito sa inyuhang buhaton for this coming Wednesday, okay. Like kung sa may buhaton ninyo this coming Wednesday, you'll be creating your own paint program, something like this that you can use for editing pictures. Okay, so with that said, can we again turn on our camera before we go? Nakurot jud atong oras tungod aning kalag. Okay, sa English pa nahurot atong oras tungod sa soul, no? Kalag. Paita. Uy, paspasi ko dun yung turn on ang inyong camera. Uy, para maka-out na ta. Kay ang uban diri, oh.